This is the Revved Up Sports Show with Bobby Chaffee.
We do have this nice little format that we try to follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
Hey, happy Monday, friends. It is time for hashtag Real Race Talk. Once again, we get to do cool things because of a lot of people that that montage right there wanted to take that time because, it's a crazy world, Bobby, that we live in, and thanks to you for putting that bug in my ear, but it's all about people that way before any of us were ever around that have put us in a very, very good place and had to take that time right there. So we're going to have a lot of fun on the show tonight as we talk to Chris David and then coming up later, Matt Kemp. But we do. I mean, we reflect on the things that are really important, and that's a hell of a lot more important than racing, in my opinion.
I mean, absolutely, dude. I mean, it was one of those things where Memorial Day, you don't go and tell somebody Happy Memorial Day, right? Because there's nothing happy about Memorial Day. It's a very somber time and a time to remember and a time to reflect on all those members of the military that gave the ultimate sacrifice. I never realized how big D-Day was until I went to the World War II Museum in New Orleans. Spent almost 6.5 hours there and still don't feel like I saw the whole thing. There was a complete wing because it used to be called the D-Day Museum and one whole wing dedicated to D-Day, and it was incredibly sad and moving at the same time. How many lives were lost, how many stabbed, but the scope and scale of that thing with the invasion all at one time on Omaha Beach was just amazing.
Yeah. Absolutely. So keep that in the back of your mind, friends. That's one of those that you have to think about all of that. And like we said, a good show here. We get fired off. Chris David, we're going to talk, of course, from Race on Texas, talk about streaming, everything that's going on with streaming. Streaming is such a big deal right now. And of course, that's what we're doing. I mean, we'll talk about that. And then we go to something new that we're going to be starting. It is our Locals Living the Dream, and we're going to kick it off with Matt Kemp. But Bobby, before we dig into all of that, man, this is a massive week. We're about to venture into a week that sees guys that are going to race for $1 million at Eldora. And that right there, I am so looking forward to that Thursday night show. That is going to be kick-ass.
Well, weather seems good for now. All the preliminary stuff that I saw show the weather's supposed to be good.
It's dirt track. They can race in the mud.
Well, that's what they say anyways. They hardly ever do, but that's what they claim, right?
Right.
But looks like we've got some of the Cup stars that are coming in trying to go for the $1 million. Got some of the other big names there in dirt late model racing going for that $1 million. Did you see the deal with Tony Stewart? Was saying that apparently they brought in a couple of fresh loads of dirt and it just wasn't having the track up to snuff. And so he'd been there all week trying to make sure the surface was ready for the $1 million to win race.
Yeah. And it's a who's who. I think I saw today that they were up to 116 entries for that are going to be, it's going to be a very short field. It's 115. All right. So it's going to be a lot of cars that are going to be coming in. I mean, you got JD, you got Brandon Overton, you got Bobby Pierce Jr., Ricky Thornton Jr. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Of course, you can't forget Chris Ferguson. He just picked up the Show Me 100. So to watch those dirt lay models going to pound it out over there, and that is going to be just some intriguing stuff to watch. And it's the 7th and 8th, so you can catch that and just follow the whole thing. And, it's always so cool because we talk about down here race weekends. Hell, they're doing this middle of the week. Middle of the freaking week, man.
And there'll be full grandstands too.
Absolutely.
Both nights. I mean, they've already probably sold out of the grandstands admissions there.
I'm sure they have. And what a great place to do it. And I mean, you got Tim McCready. I mean, there's so many names. Garrett Albertson, we were trying to I was working to get him on tonight, but I couldn't get a lot of response from him. I'm assuming he's probably got something a little more important than talking to us jackasses here in Texas. So we'll attempt to get him a little bit later on, but it's going to be so cool. And then, of course, in the middle of the week as well, you've got the money in the bank for the SRL. I mean, SRL's heading to Mobile over Labor Day weekend, but you've got $10,000 to win at Berlin, and you've got a bunch of guys. You got Bubba Pollard and a cast of characters that are going to set to run on the pavement, and that's, man, middle of the week, 2 huge races. We're not even – our posts always say we're going to preview the weekend. We ain't even talking about the weekend when it comes to those races.
It's pretty crazy, right? When we see other areas of the country where they're racing all over every day, every week. You see it up in the Midwest a lot. You don't see it as much down south. Although, granted, I mean, you see some of the smaller tracks, your mill bridges and stuff like that, but that's not, not the realistic that happens all the time. You think about the World of Outlaws, their race got rained out tonight. They run every night of the week, usually. So it's kind of cool to see it as a race fan, as a promoter and stuff. You got to wonder how do the gates work. If it didn't work on a weeknight, they probably wouldn't do it on a weeknight.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things you got to take into consideration is fan count, fan participation, and driver participation. So when you run a midweek show,
yeah, I mean, those people are going to show up. I mean, when you take a look at that Money in the Bank race, I'm taking a look here. I mean, you got Terry Sineker, Carson Hocevar is supposed to be in this race. I don't know. I'm guessing he's not going to be. What a shot, man! I've gotten drilled in the door like that, and that is the most. I'd rather hit the fence head on than have that happen because it's like I still have recurring problems from that. Happened to me 3 times. And the last time it happened is kind of when I thought, okay, I'm getting too old for this because, man, those hurt bad.
Well, there's no, when you get hit in the door and get T-boned right there by the foot box and all of that.
Yeah,
that area is designed not to give, right? The rest of the car is designed to kind of dissipate the energy as it gets used up. So when you get kind of T-boned right there at the door into the foot box and everything else, it makes the hit even considerably worse because that section's not designed to bend. That section's designed to take a licking to keep on ticking.
Yeah, and the energy that is compressed right there because you've got somebody full bore and they nail you when you're sitting there very prone in the middle of the racetrack, and it's very tough. So thoughts there with Hocevar because that was really tough. But, I mean, take a look at this. I mean, you got 34 entries in that race. You got Mike Garvey, Sammy Smith, William Byron once again, and the prowess right there of Byron, and it's really showing up with the Cup effort where he's doing a lot of the short track racing, and you got to know that's helping him with this next gen car because it's not the most friendly car, and the proof is in the pudding with William Byron. He's going out and doing these races, and it's very evident that short track experience is helping him on Sundays.
Well, it definitely is. Every time you get in a race car, that's the reason that Hendrick is starting up this Xfinity program again. Not running a large number of races, but they decided that this venture that they were going to do with Dell Jr. In a 5th junior motorsports car, they wanted to expand that and make their own program there with the Hendrick Motorsports banner with the with the 3 guys going to be running it. So definitely going to be seat time is seat time, and they're getting it any which way they can, which is weird because the current Cup car, this next gen car, doesn't fit any template of anything else that's out there. And it's surprising to see all these other guys trying to get the seat time just to get more seat time to make them Cup program better on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Jones will be in Money in the Bank race as well, and then there's a guy named Majeski that's pretty good. Another guy named Bubba Pollard that's a great friend of the show that is pretty decent as well. And then you got the Texan. You've got Caden Honeycutt, the 34th entry in that race, who is backing up right off of a 4th place finish with the Cars Tour at Langley. So that's a star-studded field. So you've got a couple of great shows right there back to back. If you're a dirt track fan, of course, you've got Eldora, and then right there with the big show, the Money in the Bank race at Berlin. That's all you need right there, middle of the week. And we're going to talk to Chris David over here in just a minute, and it's streaming. We can watch it, doesn't matter where we are, and it's pretty damn cheap. It's pretty damn cheap to watch his stuff.
Yeah, relatively inexpensive when you figure out as much as you have to pay. Sometimes it depends on the streamers where you have to pay the overall fee to watch different stuff and unlimited stuff. But at the same time, everybody has a business model they need to make work for their business, right? That's what it is. The racetrack has to have the business model to work. The streamers have to have the business model that works. Hell, at $5 a gallon in gas, your race fan needs to have the business model that works to get to and from the racetrack.
Right. And that's something that we can talk about with Chris here in just a minute is, that factors in totally now because one of the things, we did see it in the past. And a lot of promoters that we know and past promoters, when you had a race on Texas or whatever it was that would roll in and it was going to produce something to where you didn't have to be at the racetrack, it was a deterrent. That they frowned upon that, but I would actually think, and we'll get Chris's opinion here in just a minute. Right now, it's a lifesaver, and not to mention with most of these, with Race On and most of these, you got money going back into the racetrack, and I think that's just tremendous.
Well, I think that's the way that it works, right? It's and not so much a scratch your back, scratch my back kind of thing, but it's got to be reciprocal. The money that because you are taking away you're taking away eyeballs from the racetrack, from the seat itself. So you're taking away butts in the seat, and you're taking away eyeballs that would be there buying food, buying drinks, buying other stuff. So there's got to be some type of trade-off in it, to where it's mutually beneficial for both parties involved.
Absolutely. So let's jump on over to that Lone Star Speed Zone hotline powered by Computer Age Automotive. The aforementioned, it is Chris David. That is the man that it started out with a small dream, and right now he has got something really, really cool. And I know a lot of folks that watch this program are tied into that thing. All access with a race on Texas. It is the man, Mr. Chris David. Chris, how we doing, sir?
Good, gentlemen. Happy Monday to you guys. Honored to be back on the show with y'all.
Absolutely, man. Always a pleasure, my friend. So let's dive right in here. So for you, what I want to ask you, and of course we had a great conversation there at Texas Motor Speedway a couple of weeks ago there at the All-Star race, but talk about for you guys, because it really has been with streaming, especially with the pandemic and coming out of it. Just talk about the pandemic is bad. Absolutely bad, but for streaming and streaming companies, man, this has been something that has put you guys in a totally different universe.
Absolutely. I mean, COVID was the springboard. You look back to 2019, and we did 17 live shows in the entire year. We finished off May with 52 live shows in 1 month. So that was really
so that's your.
Oh, sorry about that, Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, 2020 is when it really changed for us. We saw the need for it. Ray Doyon over at I-37 Speedway called and said, hey, we've got to do this race. We've got to get people out of their homes. It was an outdoor activity that had some loose regulations that nobody could really seem to determine county by county. And so it became very much a necessity with audience restrictions. So we were already equipped to do it. We grew very fast, and believe it or not, streaming equipment was actually very hard to locate in 2020 because of that reason, right? So we wanted to ramp up. We knew we had to do something for the racetracks to maintain revenue when they were having restrictions in their audience sizes. And that's when we switched to a full encompassed kind of all access type of membership away from the traditional pay-per-view. And when we did that, we said, well, how do we compensate the tracks? And we worked a lot of formulas, we worked a lot of things, and revenue share based off of views, and then it's a he said, she said thing on views. And so we said, you know what, heck with it. We're just going to give the track half of the profits. You select the track when you sign up, and as long as that member's paying, we're giving the track half. We were proud to give back over $150,000 to local racing last year. I mean, that's 1 year, and with the continued growth of streaming, tracks are getting $1,000, $2,000 checks in December, in January, in February, when their tracks aren't open. And that money, I know, I've heard them firsthand. I've listened to them talk. They've told me online, offline, how much that helps their program. And that's one thing we're excited about, because if we don't have race cars going around the track, we don't have a product to stream.
Exactly.
So, Chris, we've talked about it before, where you have to get the promoters to buy into it, but I think you actually have to get the viewers to buy into it too, because it's such a unique way to consume the media of racing that we haven't had in a while. Race on Texas has a great app that I watch on my smart TV. Makes it easier for me than back in the day for plugging in the computer. But I think you have to educate the fans now as to get them to show them this is where you go to watch the races when you can't make it to the track yourself.
Absolutely. When you have a few weekends ago, when you've got 12 shows in 5 different states, education is important, right? To let people know that we've got an outlet for them, to let people know. And a big audience of ours is the racers. You'd be shocked at how many racers are paying members, and, they're supporting the track by showing up, and they're supporting the track by buying an all-access membership. And they go back and they like to watch their stuff. A lot of people that have elderly grandparents, or maybe during the pandemic couldn't travel because of health reasons, or maybe they can't travel now because it's out of their price budget, right? I mean, what do we tell somebody that says, I can't afford to get to the racetrack, but I could afford a membership? Well, at the end of the day, if they weren't going to come, that's money lost for the track, and now that's potential revenue for them. So, educating the consumer and letting our end users know that, hey, look, we're supporting racing. We're always going to support racing. Our most viewed shows are shows that have the most cars in the pits. So if I don't try to make sure that there's a lot of cars in the pits and fans in the stands, it's because where do the drivers come from, right? I have not met a single dirt track driver that showed up and raced on the first night that they went to a dirt track. They started as a spectator. They came from the fans. So if we can get fans in the stands and cars in the pits, then we have a product in that people want to consume, and that helps us. So the old adage, and that I love this, it's like, oh, you're not supporting racing or you're not supporting the racers. We're doing all of that. We have to if we want to survive. It's our ecosystem, and so that it's a unique thing to try to tell people that you're benefiting racing when you watch our platform. You're helping racing when you watch our platform, and we try to help racing in things that sometimes people don't even see, right? From hype videos to marketing to flyers to email campaigns, Facebook boosted posts. Like, we help tracks with all that, and we know because we want to have that push and that drive. And if it doesn't work for them, it doesn't work for us.
Yeah, Chris, the last time that you were on here, I mean, we talked about the way streaming has changed throughout the life of Race on Texas. But even now, I mean, that was a year ago or whatever it was. I mean, talk about that now. I mean, it is so. I mean, you've got Race On, and then you've got a lot of others that are in this game, and you guys are a major player in this. Talk about the evolution of this and how it, we were joking around before where, I remember Vicky asked you at Longhorn Speedway with a camera sitting up on a pole, just doing, a VHS tape that you can get in the past. But I mean, talk about it now, man. This is a full blood, this is a TV production each and every time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a great team behind us. Like, when I first started this, I had no idea of where it would grow to, and we've been blessed with the growth, and it's happened because of a lot of really important people. Using, for example, Tony Fetters, who is our lead production. Every Monday we have a staff meeting. We go through the schedules for the next 3 weeks. I mean, when you've got 15 videographers working for you and equipment to move and to travel around, and it is a very crowded space now, right? I mean, we know that Flow Racing right here in Austin, Texas, has really excelled onto the market, and they ate up a bunch of market share, and and Racing America and formerly Sweet 51, they do a great job with the asphalt coverage. I know, with the Gulf Coast Racing Series as well, and so they really do a great job. It's kind of like everyone kind of found a niche, right? Everyone kind of found a home, and our home's local. Like, right? Would I love to broadcast some huge dirt modified or dirt late model race that had national exposure? Absolutely. But I also like the racing that I saw at I-37 this weekend when they're 3 and 4 wide, running for a weekly purse. That's, to me, is where I want to showcase. I want Race on Texas to shine, and I want to tell more of the stories of the drivers individually. I mean, that's a big passion move for this year. It's like, we want to tell more of the stories of these drivers. And Phil does a fantastic job writing our featured driver articles, and I get phone calls sometimes occasionally, write this guy up. No, Phil really does a fantastic job finding the talent, just exposing them to a bigger limelight, And so being local is kind of what we're all about. If it happens in Texas or Louisiana or, now somewhat southern Oklahoma and Arkansas, we want to be a part of it. Like, we want to be there. And I think that's what our customers expect too. And I know there's some tracks that we don't cover, and people say, "Oh, why don't you go here when you go here?" There's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot behind the scenes. How does the cell coverage look there, right? We run some pretty serious cell tests to make sure that we can stand a broadcast up. People all the time, say, "Oh, your broadcast goes down," or yeah, we do occasionally have issues. We all do. Every streamer does. I don't know anyone that's probably listening to your program that's never had a dropped call. When we have a dropped call, that means we drop the connection to the stream.
That's right.
So we really try to make sure that the logistics are there and all of the parts and pieces. And I tell people all the time, there's 3 people that are watching the broadcast intently every single Friday and Saturday night from their homes, from their different devices. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the behind the scenes. It's just not turn on the camera and say, all right, we're going live.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. Well said.
So, Chris, I think the evolution of it has become the ease to watch it, right? We were talking about the app and stuff like that. what, at least from the Race on Texas perspective, was that one of the keys to get the app going so that it made it easier to consume everything, or were you guys still okay with people trying to plug in HDMI cables to their laptops?
We couldn't get an app fast enough, Bobby. We had to do it. We knew we had to do it, and we went through a major platform change in the middle of 2020. Our back end of our platform completely changed. We went to a new service company that handles a lot of the really intricate parts of it for us, and they've been a great partner with us. So having those apps is huge, and we're still planning to add more apps. I know we currently don't have a Android app, but we know that 70% of our audience is accessing from a mobile device. So we know that we had to have a mobile app, and so those things were critical, and they were very, very expensive to do the right way. But that's kind of the growing pains of growing. And I always tell people we put a lot of money right back into this thing, man. We are always on the cutting edge. Our guys were on a conference call last week about some new streaming technology that's coming out. We got a demo unit sitting here, so we're always kind of testing the boundaries. And people joke, they're like, "Oh, something looks different tonight." It's like, yeah, we're usually testing something. There's not a weekend that goes by that Tony and the guys aren't trying something, whether it be from stream stability to quality to audio testing to anything, just to make the enjoyment better, because we want it to be a nice product. And unfortunately, it's hard to produce 12 show pieces every weekend. We know that some weekends you might just have a single camera. Another weekends you might have the drone flying over your track. So we make these decisions based off what we think viewership's going to do, and things like that, to make sure that the fans get the most enjoyable experience. But again, that was a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and I always love to tell people about it, because sometimes end users just see it, they expect it to pop up at 6:59, and Rodney, you were out there Friday. We've got people saying, "Why is the screen black?" And I said, "Well, because it's raining cats and dogs at Heart of Texas right now, and our guys are scrambling. They don't have time to put a graphic up. They're protecting equipment, and so yeah, it's fun stuff like that. But yeah, the apps were very instrumental, and we knew that we had to make a product that really felt like the way you traditionally watch things. Everyone's watching on the apps and over the air and things like that. So we want our OTT stuff, and we want to make sure that we were there with it. And so that was a big commitment to us, and took a lot of man hours behind the scenes to make that work.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, talk about that. I mean, because I know, like with this show, it's ever evolving. I mean, you have to keep up, because, like we talk about, competition. There's so much that's happening. It's like you can never be comfortable and settle into what you're doing with the product, because somebody's doing something else, and you talk about keeping up with the Joneses. I mean, that's we pop the graphic up, I'll pop it up again, where there are so many streamers. But man, you have to be ready. I mean, you have to be ready to constantly be evolving and change to keep up with streaming and what you guys do with Race On.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, every weekend we're trying something. There's and the end user may not see it, but we're always testing the limits of things. And the competition is real. It grew. It springboarded in 2020, and you've got all kinds of different things popping up, and whether from small to big acquisitions. And to be honest, I think the market's going to adjust at some point, Rodney.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's too many here. There'll be at some point there'll be some consolidation. We know that Flow has tried to consolidate the market some. You have XR kind of doing a little bit of everything, as far as promoting races now. So it's interesting to see how the business is moving. And we think that we're very, not that we're comfortable. We always want to be better. I mean, we've continued to grow and add tracks and add apps and drones. And so we're always evolving, but I think we're comfortable in the lane that we're in. And that lane of we're covering local racing.
That's right.
And we'll do whatever we can to do it. And that's what's important to us. And other providers, it's the World of Outlaws is important to them, or it's dirt late model racing is important to them. Local racing is where we want to grind our teeth, and we want to be the best in the business.
That's right.
So Chris, one of the things I've noticed as I've gone through and looked at different streaming services, because Rodney and I we watch for the racing action, but we also listen to the announcers from all over the country, try to, okay, well, we can catch something that the announcer says that maybe your average viewer won't catch because we're in the announcing side of it. But I mean, when you guys watch the other stuff, which I'm sure you do, is it one of those you're like, hey, I like the way they do that, so we're going to integrate that into something that we do? Is it kind of a monkey see, monkey do, or do you try to just stay in your own lane?
It's both, yeah. I mean, there's some stuff that we do that, yeah. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. I wouldn't allow our videographers to take photos of, because it's that kind of like we're doing some stuff that's different than everyone else, and we've had companies even ask us, how do you guys pull that off? Because if you look at the quality of our shows, yeah, they're not always the highest quality. There's not always 7 cans like at an Eldora or Pit Reporters, but we're also doing 14 or 15 shows in one weekend.
That's right.
And so when you take a look at that and you go, okay, well, we try to find our number one thing is how do we bring the best product and efficient, right? Because it's expensive to produce a broadcast. The average cost of a Race on Texas broadcast, and probably shouldn't be sharing this, but I told you, Rodney, I'd be an open book.
Absolutely.
It costs us about $1,200 to produce a single night of race. And so, that's calculating data and personnel and all of these things. And that's just one camera, one person. And that's just what it costs roughly to put it on. So, you've got to take that into account. All right, you do 14 shows in a weekend, and, you might only have one show that has 3 people watching.
Yeah.
So you have to be efficient in what you do. And then the big shows that we know we want to do, I mean, we've definitely taken ideas. I take ideas from watching NASCAR on Fox, and some of the stuff that they do, So yeah, I'm always watching. As a person, I went to school for radio and television production, and I always just keep a keen eye for that. My family hates it whenever we watch a live production because I'm counting the number of cameras. I'm telling them where they've made the wrong mistakes in switching, and and anytime there's an error, I said, see, it happens to them too,
Yeah.
But I never want to actually poke fun at another broadcaster when they have issues, because we know that we're a minute away from having them when you do this much live stuff. And that's why I always tell our guys and our gals that work for us is like, look, it's live. It's hard to do live stuff and be completely proficient at it at a high level. So I'm proud of our team. They do a great job. I mean, this weekend we had, we ran a full weekend of shows, probably broadcasted for 50 or 60 hours total, and had 0 technical issues, 0 drops, 0 cell phone issues. So it's like, that you have good weekends, and then other weekends, for some reason, everyone in the world's using Verizon Wireless, and, and they're all streaming TikTok, and, the data's all backed up. But, you got to definitely, Bobby, to answer your question, you got to watch what other guys are doing, of course. I mean, it's everyone. You're always on display, right? Everyone gets to see your work. If I'm not paying attention and giving kudos where kudos are due, but no one's got a patent on a camera angle.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And yes, you do have to learn. I mean, there's a lot of people doing this, and they do it extremely well. I mean, you guys do it well, and there's a lot of others that do as well. But you feed off of that. So I do want to ask you. So I think one of the hardest parts about this is I was actually talking to Jeff at Waco the other night, and we were talking about, I mean, with the growth of this, with the demand and people that want to be doing this, don't want to go to the track for whatever reason. Personnel. I mean, you talk about doing all these multiple shows every weekend, man. How hard is it to have all these crews? I mean, that's got to be a big struggle to be able to have the man or lady power to be able to pull this stuff off, weekend after weekend.
Yeah, and that's a big kudos to what Tony does for us in scheduling, and he sits and looks strategically at a map and where people are going, where they're coming from, and what's the best placement for them, and where they're going to be the night before, and and equipment. Every week we're buying replacement stuff. I mean, obviously producing live events is cool. Now doing it 100 degrees with dust flying everywhere makes it a little more harder. So it's like, then I love it when sometimes like, oh, you got good internet at that racetrack, right? I was like, we use 0 internet. We carry all of our own stuff. We don't use any internet from any racetrack that we go to. Period. Because to be perfectly honest, it always sucks.
Yeah.
They'll tell you it's good.
You can't rely on it.
Everyone's plugged into it, and it's gone. And Rodney, you've helped us out before. I think before we had a hotspot go down. So every week there's some piece of equipment that's failing, and we try to keep redundant backups of things. But yeah, it's a juggling act, and and then tracks will decide that they're going to add a race on, or they're going to change the schedule, and those things can get frustrating because you're now moving people around, but. You go to a track and, they rain out. We still have to pay for those people hotels and mileage, and gas is expensive now, and trying to compensate our videographers because it's costing them more to do their job every weekend. So those things are a big challenge. And yeah, we haven't missed a race. For the first time Memorial Day weekend, we missed an event at Rocket Raceway Park because one of our videographers, Jeff, had car troubles. Not once, but twice.
Yeah.
Actually, a racer came and bailed him out, fixed him up, and then he had a completely different problem later. And he's been in the business longer than I've been alive. And he said it was the first time he's ever missed a race. So those things happen, and we're humans. We're not. I promise, we're going to have other mistakes in the future. But we really do have a dedicated crew, and I can't believe it. That we have full-time employees, and we're adding more. As the weeks go on, and so we want to continue to grow. And with what you guys do, it's all about the local racing. It's not always about necessarily being in national spotlight all the time, but really showcasing the stars that we have here in Texas. And it's cool to hear you open up, talking about some of the Texas guys and guys like Caden Honeycutt that are coming up. It's so cool to see that we get to watch them on our platform and knowing that one day these guys might be running, on Sundays.
Absolutely.
So, Chris, we talked about consolidation in the industry and stuff like that. Not necessarily consolidation, but how surprised were you when you read the release like we did, when you saw that XR and Racing America were going to work together to produce the races coming up from North Wilkesboro, both the asphalt side and the dirt side?
I thought, I guess I wasn't too surprised because I know that Racing America's got such a great asphalt following, and that's important to be able to dive into that. A lot of people don't know we produce a lot of stuff with other people behind the scenes too. So collaboration is starting to be more and more relevant. I mean, we work with Flow Racing to produce all their ASCS content. So you can watch ASCS on Race on Texas, but you can also watch it on Flow. But if you're watching it on Flow, you're watching the Race on Texas broadcast. And we work closely with Racing Dirt and USRA and producing some of, we've produced the USMCS show for them. We co-produced the ARMS, the American Racing Modified Series Tour. We co-produced that with Racing Dirt as well. So, we try to work together because a lot of times it's better for everybody in the end. I know it's hard to say that everyone's a winner and it sounds kind of cliche, but it really is. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're trying to fight over every, subscription and claw and fight, there's a way to work together and do so tactfully and respectfully. And so it's good to see XR doing that. It's good to see Racing America involved. I don't think it would be fitting without them being involved in an event like that. So yeah, I think this is going to lead. I think it's just the end of the day, Bobby. I don't think a lot of people want to have 7 different subscriptions, right? I think they're going to start picking and choosing. And what's the outcome of that going to be? I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you. I know that we've been approached by different companies before, and we have no intention to sell. This is just like guys like loading up their car and strapping in on a Saturday night. This is what I love to do. I have an entrepreneurship hobby, I guess. I love to run this company. I love to run it around racing. I answer every single email personally that comes in. I dig it. It's what I like to do. So but there'll be some consolidation at some point amongst the bigger guys for sure. I don't see a way that this survives with the purses that are being thrown around and the broadcast money that's being thrown around. That bubble will burst at some point.
Yeah, and I'm glad you talked about that. I like to say that you're a glutton for punishment. Is what I say. That's doing this. But it's just so cool to see how this thing has grown. Because I know the whole history of this, but you touched on something right there. It's like everything. My regular day-to-day stuff is in real estate and a housing bubble and all of this. Man, this thing is going to come to a head at some point. There's so many players. There are so many players, Chris. Expand on that a little bit. At some point, this thing is going. It's going to bust up at some point.
Yeah. So a lot of the broadcast deals, the way they work, just so people know, for these larger events, is they're signing multi-year deals with events and series now, more than they were before.
Right.
So they're signing 5 and 10-year deals. The problem is a lot of these deals are very lucrative to the promoter and the track, and it's because of the competition that's out there. But the problem is, and this is my opinion. So take it just as Chris David here talking.
Absolutely.
My opinion is that these inflated purses will not be sustainable when these broadcasting companies come up for renewal on these things, and it might even bend up even higher and then it dips, but they can't afford. I've been approached by hey, do you want to cover this race? Sure. Well, this company's offered this, and I'm like, yeah, take it. You're dumb not to.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, at some point though, what's going to happen is you're going to see a markup in the price point to the end user, which to me is highly unlikely.
Right.
Or more likely than not, you're going to see these numbers come back down to earth. Mm-hmm. And rather than a guy getting, a 6-digit, revenue share, they're back down to 5 digits.
Right.
So those things is what I think the market will eventually do. Everyone right now is fighting for rights, clawing and gnawing at each other. And we want to just focus on our local tracks. And luckily no one's come in and messed with us too bad. Every now and then somebody comes in and tries to rattle our cage and we want to help tracks. We like writing big checks. I get no more excitement than sitting down at the beginning of every month and writing huge checks to racetracks.
Yeah,
because the bigger the check, the more we know that we can help them, and we've got viewers and not to rant here, but I know, well, Bobby, when I first came on, talking about people removing people from the seats. It's hard to tell with COVID with numbers, but we've seen a lot of events that we've covered before that didn't have streaming before that have streaming now that have higher attendance records for those events. And it's interesting because it's like, it's almost like the whole adage of, I took this from a promoter, actually I won't share his name, but he goes, it's kind of like the restaurant's getting mad at the grocery stores for putting them out of business.
Yeah. That's a great point.
That's
a
good analogy.
Like, do you want to go and really eat up like at Texas Motor Speedway? I wanted to go and eat up that atmosphere and be there and hear it and see it and smell it.
Yeah.
But I also like watching it on Fox. But it's a different experience, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
And so, but it's one of those things where we haven't seen a lot of real data to support that streaming is hurting attendance. It might in other places, maybe because of our demographic and the way we segment just to local racing, maybe the larger events are seeing a dip in that. But if they're seeing a dip in it, they're for sure seeing a larger increase in the number of eyes that they can reach, because I can tell you one thing, it's hard for me in December because of my day job to go to the Snowball Derby, but I've watched it every year. Yeah. And if I couldn't watch it, I wasn't going to watch it or go, right? I don't miss the Chili Bowl every year. Will I go one year? Yeah, absolutely. But the years I don't go, I'm always going to watch it.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's the quality of the show. You put on a good show, you're going to get fans and you're going to get viewers. They all kind of work together, I think.
Yeah. Chris, and this is, this is something that kind of drives me crazy from a personal standpoint, especially being a part of street. I work for you, I work for a lot of people, but man, when you have an event that you're presenting and people are at the track and they start Facebook living, it drives me crazy. You, as the owner of Race on Texas, does that make your skin crawl? Do you have to go hit a wall or go have a beer? What do you do when you see that?
It used to. It really did, man. I would be lying if I said it didn't irk me. It used to really upset me. I feel like it's gotten a little bit better, but I don't. It doesn't bother me as bad anymore. Just because I know that our quality is so much better than what you're looking at with your phone, right? And you know what? Maybe you're filming Brandon and his mini stock, so Aunt Brenda can watch one race. That's fine, right? But when guys are rolling in and setting up professional equipment and streaming it like that, like a live stream or even maybe Facebook Living the entire night from a really good iPhone. That's a different story, but I mean, the little stuff doesn't really bother me at all. And I tell, when I used to bust people, or get upset. I say bust.
Yeah.
I get upset with people live streaming. I'd always be like, you don't go to a movie theater and live stream a movie.
Right.
It's just, you go there and enjoy it and be a part of it and tell people you're there. Take pictures, take video for all I care. But to sit and take the time to live stream, 2 or 3 complete feature races, I'm like, first off, your hands should be tired. And 2, there's other options. We're here helping,
and hell, you can't
enjoy it,
and you can't watch it yourself because you're sitting there. When you go to a concert and you're doing a video the whole damn time. I'm like, so why'd you go?
Yeah, why'd you go? Exactly. So I just sit back and enjoy it, and and you're helping the racetrack. If you want to go home and watch it, I mean, it's crazy. We have our race replays. So when the race ends, usually it takes us about 15 minutes to get the broadcast turned over to a replay.
Right.
And so I get emails if we don't get it done right away. I'm getting emails at 2, 3 in the morning. Hey, we want to watch it. We want to replay it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of racers. They get to watch film on themselves. They get to watch film at a track maybe they've never been to. And I hope when people see good racing at 37, they go, man, we got to get down there.
Yeah.
Or when they see a good huge race at Texana and Owen's gone crazy giving away nickel beers, they want to go down there, that's, I want people to be at the racetrack, we'll have enough people that'll stay and watch it live or replay it. Cause a lot of our businesses replay as well, and
sure.
They want to see it all. We've got a nice, huge library, and I always plug our YouTube page because we dump all of our old, I say older archived footage stuff from 2020, 2021 even, is dumped on our YouTube page for free.
Yeah.
So I tell people a lot of people don't know that. So it's just Race on Texas, YouTube/Race on Texas, and you can find a ton of free content there from back Central Texas days, back HMP days, all those races. Actually, every race from Central Texas Speedways, last 2 seasons, I believe, are on there, every single lap.
I've watched
so, yeah. It's it doesn't get frustrating with the Facebook Live as much as it used to. I try to let that stuff go, but I get frustrated when I see people calling us out. Race on Texas needs to zoom in more, and I'm like, and I answer every single email. I always pass on constructive stuff, but I'm like, man, it's not as easy as you think. And, usually when someone's mad that you're not filming the whole field, you find out they're related to Brandon, who's
right.
2 laps down running 17th.
Yeah.
And that's why you realize that, the announcer's not talking to him either, because we put every videographer has you guys in their ear. The announcer's listening, or the videographer's listening to the announcer and able to follow the action. And that's what you guys talk about too, and that's what we want to do. We want to bring the action.
Absolutely.
So, Chris, I got one last question before we cut you loose. So, you mentioned the old school stuff dumped on YouTube and all of that. So, back in the day when you were racing your number 52 truck, Shelly was up there filming at the top of the tower at HMP. Did you have any idea back then what this would turn into now?
I did not, man. If I did, I'd say, I'd be lying. I did not. I knew, and if you want to even go back further than that, when I was in college, I was a volunteer firefighter, and I started a website called thebravestonline.com, and it was a similar thing. It was firefighters sending in training videos, incident videos, things like that. It was before YouTube was popular. Right. We're talking back in 2005, 2006. And so that concept, I kind of thought, I was like, man, how do I make that work with racing? So when I graduated in 2007 from Sam Houston State, I sold that fire service related company to a publicly traded company in Florida. And so I was like, how do I find something where I can mimic that, right? And I was like, how do I do it with racing? Because I'm not good behind a race car. I really tried. We tried really hard, guys.
Yeah, I know.
And it all came down to me. And we had fun doing it, though. We had a great time. We met a lot of really cool people. And it's really what kind of got Race on Texas started, was having Shelly up there filming. And, hey, let's let everyone else watch this, too. And I realized I went to Battleground one night, and there's a guy selling VHSs. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Granted, this is back in 2008, but it's still, I'm like, I don't even have VHS player, and you'd have to wait a week to get it. And I'm like, we got to move this digitally, And I'm sure it's kind of like when racers heard that we're going to transponders. Like, what are you talking about? Mary up top she's got it down. It's like, well, we need to give Mary something else to do, and we need to do this with technology. And so that's kind of where it came from, was trying to bring the sport to the 21st century when it comes to races. Because at the end of the day, we all are going to be able to go back and watch this stuff in 20 or 30 years.
That's right.
Which to me is so cool to think about. I love to show kids wild race footage like, that's you? And I'm watching original, Shelley filming from the top of HMP, and they're like, why are you in the back? And so, but no, I didn't think it would grow to that. Harry, my best friend, he was my spotter. Him and I put this together. He's the brains behind it. He's the one that makes all the stuff work. It was just kind of my crazy idea. And so I never thought it would get to that. I'm really excited to see where it's going to go. I told someone the other day, we're not stopping. Our foot's on the pedal, and I'm going to try to be more transparent of kind of behind the scenes. I don't know if people want to see that or not, but trying to post more videos of stuff that we do, right? That you don't get to see. I don't know if anyone wants to see it or not, but maybe we'll start publishing some of that, and what a race night looks like when you've got 6 monitors going in your office and you're trying to watch every event and check on issues and answer emails. It's kind of like a little war room, and that's kind of where my racing fix comes from now, is watching all these races on a Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of dirt track racing laps. And one guy told me one time, why don't I see you at the racetrack? I'm like, well, if you see me at the racetrack, that means that there's like 3 other people that are having to stay home and do something that I was going to be doing. So, it's fun and riding with you guys, being able to go from the beginning with the Palace of Power stuff and Central Texas. It's always been fun to run alongside what you guys are doing, and we're full support of everything with the Revved Up Sports Show, and anything you guys put your hands on, we fully support.
Oh man, you guys are great. So Chris, let's talk about the future. I mean, obviously, like you said, I mean, you guys, you're local, you're homegrown. I mean, you want to be about Texas. What, like we said, about competitiveness and all of that. I mean, you guys are Texas racing. I mean, you guys, it's hand in hand with every racetrack. It seems like the future moving forward. I mean, what's in store for you guys? Constantly evolving with everything that continues to change.
I think the biggest thing, Rodney, that's a great question, because that's something that we talk. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a name change in the future. When we broadcasted in 5 states in one weekend, made me think, does Texas need to go?
Yep.
So probably might be letting too much out of the bag here, but that's something that we've our team's been thinking about. There's nothing concrete, nothing will happen this calendar year. But we want to continue doing what we're doing under the group that we're doing it with, and we're bringing on more creative people. We're going to starting as soon as the end of June, having a lot more interviews and real kind of personal content, right? Not so much, all right, here's all the cars, right? We're going to continue doing that. Here's the race. You got it. But content that speaks to a driver's personality, and shop tours, and possibly even getting into kind of like a mini behind the scenes documentary, or and I say behind the scenes like with the race team. What happens at Justin Whitehead's shop in December?
Right.
What's Whitehead doing, or what's Neil Kemp doing? What are these guys doing that are winning races? What are they doing in the off season? Let's follow them around for a couple of weeks. And so I think that's where our big focus is going to be moving forward, and try to bring more of the drivers and their personalities to the fans, and try to make that connection. You talk to anyone who used to go to a race 20 or 30 years ago, you ask them a name of a driver and they will tell you.
That's right.
They remember these people.
That's right.
And people sometimes that they never met, they remember who they are. So I think we have to do a better job at telling that story. And I think we've got the platform and the equipment and the personnel to do it. And that's what we want to do. So I think that's the short-term future. The long-term future is to continue to grow, and, tracks finding value in having us there. Several tracks have told me, hey, you're our biggest marketing partner. You're our, and
love it.
It's like, man, that's huge. I love that. I want to be bigger. I want to do double what I did last year,
right.
And so those are the things that we want to be a part of, and just to continue to grow racing, because without it, I hate seeing tracks close. I hate hearing stories. I hate seeing the climate that our racers are going through right now with the price of gas and tires and all that stuff. And we're going to do whatever we can to help out, and if that means that we're giving more to the tracks and the tracks have been giving more in the purse, that's what we want to do. So, we're not going anywhere. I heard a rumor the other day that we had sold to Flow Racing. I said, no, that's completely inaccurate. Because if you would, you wouldn't hear from me. I'm not going to be your Facebook friend.
That's right.
Anymore. I don't know. I say that jokingly. We have no intentions of going anywhere. So we'll just continue to grow this thing and hopefully ride alongside with you guys.
That's right. That is exactly right. Yeah, we're the benchmarks, man. We're the old Texans that stick with it. So very good thing, man. Congratulations, dude. I'm so proud of what you guys are doing, and keep kicking ass, man, because you guys, it is so cool to see the success, but at the same time, you and the whole team, you guys are so humble and appreciate how you've gotten to this point. So keep it up, dude, and let us know how we can help you. And it's a great.
Yeah, you guys do the same thing. We love tuning in every Monday, man. And so thank you guys for everything. And we love the new show too, Rodney. And
thank you.
You guys just keep it up, man. And I'll let you guys go. Have a great night.
You bet, man. Take care.
See you, Chris.
Bye-bye. All right, man. Take care. There he is, Chris David. Man, remember they were itty bitty. Little bitty, like a little bitty puppy. And I mean, now, and I have to thank Aaron Brungott for sending this over right there. But I mean, look at that. I mean, when you talk about, right there with Flow, with Racing America, with Dirt Vision and XR, and there's Race on Texas. And like he said, I like the name change thing. I love the name Race on Texas, but I think, that's a good little tweak. That's a good little tweak.
Race on USA, but I wonder if that gets too close to Racing America if you do Race on USA. I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe so. But good stuff. Very good stuff right there. And thanks to Chris David for checking in and being a part of the show. And so proud of the growth right there. And proud to be Texans right there with those guys as we continue to jump on. And we're going right back. We're going right back to the Lone Star Speed Zone hotline, powered by Computer Age Automotive, and this is our brand new series. And I'm excited about this. We're going to talk about locals living the dream, and that can be NASCAR, that can be World of Outlaws. I mean, that can be. It's so wide open, and I'm excited that we're kicking it off with Down Home, one of our dudes, and the dude's doing well. It's Matt Kemp. Matt, how we doing, brother?
Hey guys, I'm doing good. Getting ready for another week here at Sonoma, and it's going to be a nice weekend. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
How are y'all guys doing?
Hey, man, we're doing well. It's hot. It's very, very hot over here. You know how that goes. But, hey, first and foremost, how's your driver, man? That was a hell of a shot.
Yeah, that was an incredible shot that happened. As of right now, the only thing I've heard is he's doing good, in good spirits. Just waiting to see what happens, and all eyes are set on Sonoma this weekend.
That's right.
So, Matt, talk about a typical weekend for you. I mean, is it one of those you guys fly in Sunday mornings, or do you prepare all week with your practices? Talk about the typical week for you as a crew member for a NASCAR Cup Series team.
So, a typical week right now, I'm also a mechanic in shop, so I'm also working on the truck.
Oh, wow.
The underneath, all that. So, I'm there every single day, live and breathe racing. With that, I also work for a company called Elevated Performance, and that is a pit crew company who we are leased out to different race teams. So I do the practices. I'm the gas man coach for them.
Sweet.
And 55 employees that work for Elevated. And we start practice on Tuesdays and then Thursdays. And then between that, I'm working at the race shop, and then travel day comes and we're at the racetrack, and normally I'm at the racetrack all weekend.
Man.
Starting early in the morning with the truck series, finishing that on normally Fridays, Saturdays the Xfinity, straight pitting with that with DGM, and then the Cup series when the 27 car is out, we'll be doing that, and it is a full week, and it's an exciting week. And it's just a lot of fun.
Oh man, oh God, that sounds so cool. So let's dial it back. I mean, talk about getting there, and they always talk about the coolest part is getting there. Take us back, and you took life by the horns and went and chased this dream. I mean, tell us how it all came to pass.
Growing up in San Antonio, our dad introduced us to racing in 2005, 2006 time, and they say once you go once, you're hooked. And that happened. We were hooked. We became a racing family. We were out at San Antonio Speedway all the time. Unfortunately, that track closed down, but then got older, and we were able to go to Central Texas Speedway a couple times. And at that time, I was getting ready to graduate high school, and my goal was to make it in NASCAR. I told everybody in high school, this is what I'm going to do, and I will be there. After high school, I went to South Texas Vocational Technical Institute in San Antonio for automotive technologies. Graduated valedictorian there. Worked my way up. Started racing myself at Central Texas Speedway, where I got to meet y'all guys.
That's right.
And heck, even were the announcer there, and it was a lot of fun. and even Bobby, that was a good time. Just memories. But at that point, the hunger's still there. I was just myself and my brother at the time. We were just racing. But I wanted to go farther. I wanted to go all the way to the Cup Series, and that's what was my plan. So I left South Texas, moved to North Carolina in 2017. Entered a company called Pit Instruction and Training, which is a pit crew company that has trained some of the best pit crew members on pit road today. Started there, did ARCA for a while. The opportunity arose with Mike Harmon to do the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Became a mechanic and pit crew member there. After that season in 2018, I transferred to Excalibur Pit School, where I wanted to continue my journey on becoming a pit crew member in the NASCAR Cup Series. Mm-hmm. Did that for a full season. Ended up becoming a road crew member with Rick Ware Racing in 2019. Yeah. Ultimately, that ended up landing me a job for 2020 and 2021 with Rick Ware Racing.
Love it.
And here we are today, full-time with Elevated Performance and with Nice Motorsports in the shop and having a lot of fun.
Oh, man, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. I love that.
So let's talk about the anatomy of a pit stop here. So obviously the one nut thing, we know that's totally different. But when you're trying to change a wheel on a NASCAR Truck Series versus the Xfinity Series, does that gigantic fender well for the truck, does that change a pit stop at all? Or is it just 5 on, 5 off, and let's go?
Yeah, it is really 5 on, 5 off. Let's go. The biggest difference, so if you ever look at a truck, the way the body's shaped, the rears are really tight. That's obviously to keep air from going back there.
Right.
So you have to be very accurate when you're a carrier or a jackman on the rear, because there's not a lot of space to work there. Now, compared to an Xfinity car, Xfinity cars are actually wide open for fenders, and it is fast, and everybody's trying to go as fast as they can and gain spots.
Oh man, yeah, that and talk about that. I mean, because it goes without saying. I mean, we talk about driver fitness and all this, but I mean, me with my beer gut, I can't go out there and do this stuff. I mean, talk about. I mean, it's about personal training. I mean, you have to. It sounds like you are always on. I mean, you're always having to be working, but you got to keep yourself in really, really good shape because this is a very orchestrated, very fast, precision pit stop that you're doing each and every time.
Yeah, I mean, from our practices, we practice in a facility where there's it's very hot and humid in there.
Yeah.
I can talk about myself. For me, being a fuel man, the gas can is actually anywhere from 95 to sometimes 100 pounds of fuel. So that's a liquid weight. So imagine you're walking and that's full liquid in your boots, right? So I do a lot of shoulder workouts, a lot of back workouts, legs, obviously, and then core is a big thing because you got to have stability when you plug that heavy gas can in.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I'm in the gym roughly 4 to 5 times a week. Either I'll go during lunch break or right after work, and then the process of that. Also, now that we're getting to the summer months, a lot of people do heat training.
Yeah.
So I'll sit in a sauna that's 140 degrees for either 30 to 45 minutes.
Bobby needs to do that.
Oh yeah, I need to work on my core too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do too.
The core gets handled by Yangling Light. That's where the core of my stuff gets handled.
Yeah, it's core of my problem.
So Matt, talk about the action on pit road. So I mean, I guess with you as the gas man, you're on the closest side to the pit wall. But I mean, there's still got to be an adrenaline rush seeing these cars and trucks slide in and out of these pits doing, even though pit road speed's still 35 to 75 miles an hour.
So pit road, if you've ever gotten to experience jumping off the wall, it is in a rush that you'll never experience like anything else.
Man.
I mean, imagine yourself walking in the HEB, right? And there's a car coming as you're getting ready to walk in, and it stopped, right? Well, our job is to jump in front of that.
Whew.
So it's a whole new perspective. The first couple of times you do it, you're so full of adrenaline that your body literally shakes. I know that was the first time with me jumping in front of an ARCA car at Daytona when they're doing 55 miles an hour. I mean, that's exhilarating. There is nothing else like that.
Yeah.
For a fuel man, I live for the super speedways. So when we're calling, hey, we're going to come in right now and we're going to take gas only, that's my time to shine, because that's going to come down to making sure I can get that gas can plugged in before the car is actually stopped, which is called a negative plug. And I'm going to chase that car as we're getting ready to pull out. So that way you can get the max amount of fuel. And that is something that I've been living for, and I really enjoy doing that.
Oh, man, I can only imagine. So, I mean, I have to ask you, I mean, just because, the world that we live in. So as all of this was going on, as you had that dream, and again, I mean, you are the best example of have a big goal, put it somewhere, and never forget what that goal is and work to achieve it. Were there people that told you that you couldn't do it? And if so, how did that drive you to even make it happen, sooner?
So I'm very glad that you asked that, because that's a question that doesn't get asked by a lot of people.
Boom.
So growing up, I grew up with dyslexia and dysgraphia. So I had a problem with numbers and wording. So it would get all messed up. I had a tough time in high school, plus ADHD. So, I mean, it was rough. So in elementary school, they pretty much told my parents that I wasn't going to be really anything that special. I was just going to be some guy. I was going to have a difficult life because I had a learning disability. Well, at that time, I mean, you grow up, you start learning, you start doing different things. And I think as I got older, high school, it just pushed me more, because I really am out there to prove everybody wrong. I want to do my very best every single day. And that's what I do. Nobody's going to tell me I cannot do anything. I've accomplished a lot in 29 years, and I'm very proud of everything that I've done and the people that have been there to help me and guide me on my journey.
Fucking-lutely. Very good. I love that.
Look at Rodney being all inspirational tonight. Golly. You didn't know you were going to have an inspirational coach, did you, man?
Well, people
thought you were just coming on to talk about racing,
people
right?
People always tell me that I can't do things. That's why I asked that. So it's like, I'll show your ass. Anyway, sorry, Bobby. Go ahead.
I mean, that's the biggest. You can't live life in a place where you're going to regret it at the end.
Right.
I've gone by a thing, live life to the fullest, and that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, every single day is an opportunity to become a better you.
Oh, man. Great. Good stuff.
It's the start of a book.
That's right.
That's the start of a book. Just remember that. You heard it here first. When you start writing the memoirs, that's the start of a book. So Matt, talk about back in the day, man, these old mini stocks that we used to run, back having, it was one thing to take, from working on cars and all that kind of stuff. It's really hard to take a front wheel drive car that's not designed to turn left all the time and make it turn left all the time. Right. But mini stocks, probably to me, just because I still have the high five in pieces in the yard over at my parents' house, that mini stocks are still pretty damn underrated in terms of an entry level racing class.
I love the mini stock class. We had a lot of fun. I know for me, just having a whole different perspective, actually being on that track, it was a lot to learn. I had no idea. I mean, I raced a little bit growing up, but it was like go-kart stuff. But yeah, learning to really point the wheel and gas was a real fun thing to learn, but also how to manage those front tires from heating up. Yeah. I know you can come off the racetrack and those things are scalding hot just because you're on the gas and those things are just spinning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a very different animal to drive. That is a very good point. So let me ask you. So you're on the inside right there. So let's talk about, because we've talked to so many people on the show, Matt, where it's like the disconnect between the life that you're in with NASCAR and the three big series versus short track racing. Coming out of local short track racing, I know there's disconnect there, but it really seems like there's a lot of things in place that are starting to wedge all that back together. And some of the short track people are embracing NASCAR and vice versa. I think that we're in a good spot with all of that.
Yeah, I think, this past weekend with Gateway proved that
yes, sir.
The smaller the track is going to bring more fans. I miss short track racing. I think that's what we need to go back to. Mainly because that's what Americans grow up on in racing.
Mm-hmm.
The short track between short track racers and NASCAR is obviously a different deal, different cars and lots of money involved in NASCAR. I mean, even with short track racing, the higher you get in the series, but I think ultimately trying to come back together, and really get a feel of what racing is about instead of all the high costs of everything that we have nowadays is really going to bring everybody back full circle and come back together.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
So Matt, is Sonoma is it one of those tracks where you have to switch the fueling from the right side or the left side to the right side, or is it still left side at Sonoma?
It's still left side. So that track is still left side. When we go to Road America, it is on the other side. So I mean that plays into a whole different ordeal with becoming with the other side. But this weekend, fortunately, it is a normal pit stop.
Nice.
And at times.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So Sean Folsom is checking in on the Facebook feed, and that's so. How cool is it for you? Like when you go to COTA or when you go to TMS, and you're out there, and I know, like for me, when I walk through the pits at these Texas races, and I see all of you guys. I haven't seen you, but like when you walk through there, and it's like all of these Texans are hanging around. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, it's like bringing it back home a little bit to see the folks like yourself that are doing so damn well on that big stage.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy getting to see y'all and Sean and his brother.
Yeah.
I've seen Don out there and Mike out there. And it's just fun to reminisce about the old times, and really relive. Like I was talking to Sean at COTA in Texas quite a bit, and we were just talking and having a good time and really just catching up. And it's cool to have those kind of relationships where you can literally not see somebody for months, come back to the racetrack, and it's like you never left. I think that's a fun kind of relationship to have with people, because ultimately we're gone all over the country every week pretty much, and it's just fun to like come back, get to see people that you grew up around, and really just kind of slow down for a minute.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So obviously, we're going to say that you're going to be partial to the two Texas tracks on the schedule with TMS and COTA. But other than those two, do you get a chance to explore it all? I mean, I know you're busy with the pit crew stuff and being working on the road crew and stuff for the truck. But I mean, do you guys get to go out and do any kind of fun stuff at all, or is it just all business when you're on the road?
No, there's definitely downtime, and with that, you can definitely find some cool places to eat, some unique spots as you go around the country. So luckily at Rick Ware, I've got to hang out with people that have been doing this for 20, 25 plus years. Mike Hillman was one of our crew chiefs over there. So we would go and go to the same spots that they have been going to forever because they've experienced it.
Yeah.
They've been there, done that. This is your best place to eat. You want to find food, you talk to this guy. You want to go out, have a drink, you talk to that guy. And that's what I think is you get that experience of, hey, we can go try something new as the younger guys, but if you really want to know where all the secret spots are, you go to the older guys.
That's the strip bar guy. I'm just kidding. Yeah,
we know pit crew guys love to party, especially when we got to party with some of them during the Snowball Derby one year, and we thought it was going to rain out. Those pit crew guys, man, they party hard. It was a little rough to try to keep up with some of them. So I'm sure you guys get to have a hell of a lot of fun when the garages aren't closed.
Oh yeah, dude, some of those guys go hard.
Yes, they do.
That was the first time I got with one of those guys, big partiers. I mean, it was just shot after shot after shot, and it's like, all right, I'm out.
Gotta go.
Yeah, it's fun. Everybody, you got your crews and you got your other, other guys that you know throughout, and everybody just has a blast.
Yeah, no doubt.
But
Matt, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry about that.
I was just going to say, not only do you have a blast, but it's also very business-like and very professional at the same time.
That's right. So I do want to ask you specifically about the Truck Series. I mean, because for me, the Cup Series, I love all three of them. But talk about the insides of the Truck Series, man. It's to me, more often than not, that's the best race of the weekend. I mean, you get these guys out there. You got the vets, you got the young guys, you got the young guns that don't give a damn, and the veterans that are hardcore on, digging their heels in. Talk about the intensity of the Truck Series from the inside, watching this stuff happening. Each and every Camping World Truck Series race.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of fun. As a perspective, you got these new guys. These new guys are coming. They're going to make a name for themselves, and some of those guys have already got backing by Ford, Chevy, or Toyota. So they have a lot to prove already. Then you got the KBM teams, right? So you got a team based pretty much on winning and winning all the time.
That's right.
Then you got the old guys at Thor Sport, who knows what it takes and not afraid to make sure that they know, I'm boss.
Yeah.
So with that, you're going to get intense racing. I know I had a buddy this past weekend in Gateway. He goes, I used to go to TMS with my brother all the time. And, but coming here to Gateway, watching this Truck Series, it gives me a whole new perspective. And I really enjoyed it. I loved the way they raced. I loved how hard they raced and how just exhausted they were after the race as well. I mean, they're just putting so much out there. And it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Matt, talk about it. I mean, this journey for you, and we are so proud of what you have accomplished. And I mean, it's such a great story, and we are so glad that you were the one kicking off this series. When we talk about guys that are living that dream, who have been? Are there inspirational people along the way? Like I talked about a while ago. I mean, there's always the people that tell you can't do stuff. But are there people that have kind of kicked you in the hindquarters when you may have been down, or people that are always building you up and reminding you that you can do this? Who are those important people in your life?
Yeah, so I think one of them is actually one of my high school coaches. At that time, I was trying to figure out, everything, life situations, and we would have conversations. And he's somebody I still talk to today. And I appreciate everything he had to do. Another person was actually my teammate that actually came out and helped at Central Texas Speedway. We worked together at BMW, and we can literally not talk for, like I said, months, and we'll talk, and we can talk for hours and just catch up. Yeah. And we're always pushing each other. And it's just that kind of relationship that really builds up on that. My boss now, from Elevated Performance, he's another one. We lean on each other a lot. He helps me with a lot of stuff, and just really go back and forth. And the way I live is iron sharpens iron. Mm-hmm. So if I have somebody that I can help, and they have things that they can come back with me, that's how we're both going to grow, and that's how we're both going to become better. And that for me means a lot more than, hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then my one of my good friends in racing, he was a tire specialist for Rusty Wallace, and he's been in NASCAR for 25 years. I actually lived with him at one point in my racing career, and
yeah,
we were going back and forth, and he's always there to pick me up, and we can talk about racing, we can talk about future things. And he's probably way up there on that list of people who keep encouraging me. And then the last person was actually one of my other bosses that I moved here in North Carolina. I needed a job, and he was there. And we have built a relationship as far as, friendship is, 4-5 years now.
Yeah.
And just one of those things. He keeps pushing, and I'm going to keep pushing back, and we're getting stronger, and that's the people that I look for, like I said, and the way everything is progressing, and the mentality, and all that. It's just that's how it's going, and it's going very well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how hard was it for you? One more, how man, to sit there. I mean, to dwell on it and just go. I mean, I think we overthink in the world these days. I mean, we sit there and we talk ourselves out of doing things. I mean, for you years ago to just say, I'm going to live this dream. I mean, how'd you not talk yourself out of it, dude? I've done that for so many years. I mean, how did it happen for you?
So this is going to get a little sad.
It's all right.
A little bit.
It's okay.
So how this all played out was ultimately 10 days before I actually pulled the trigger, my dad passed away. So he was the one that always pushed me, hey, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And when I did the truck series for Norm Benning at Bristol in 2016, he was there like, hey, this is what you're going to be. This is how you're going to get there. Yeah. And so when it came that point in time to pull that trigger for North Carolina, I was gung ho. So I just went for it, pulled it, and bam, I drove. So actually how it played out is I drove from Texas to Talladega, met up with Norm Benning, did the truck race there. After the Talladega race, head straight to Monroe, North Carolina, to my sister's house, and that's how it all happened.
Oh, man.
You just got to go for it. And when it's time, like I said before, you got to live your life to the fullest, and you got to make it happen, and you got to be happy. And that's what I did.
You are the freaking man, my man. That is so cool. That is so cool, and I'm jealous as hell of you, my man. But yet we are so proud. We are so proud to see you doing what you're doing, and just keep doing it, brother. Keep doing it, man. You are an inspiration, and man, it's cool to watch you. Cool to watch you, brother.
Oh, and I'm glad I get to see y'all when we come down to Texas. And it's good just catching up with y'all. And I appreciate y'all having me on tonight.
Man, we'll do it again soon. We will do it again soon. Thanks for taking the time, man. I know you got a lot going on.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, and y'all have a great night.
You bet, man. Take care.
All right, man. Take care.
You bet. Bye.
You just needed to take that leap about 5 years ago, like you wanted to.
You thought the first part of the show was inspirational. Man, that is freaking awesome. And that's where young guys, well, hold on. We got to take a break. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll break that down a little bit, and we'll give you the old guy advice to the young folks that check in on what we think about that, because there's a lot of young folks doing good things, and we'll get you all that. Stick with us. Hang around. It is the Revved Up Sports Show.
Have you heard about the latest and greatest technology being built around the DFW area? Generation Race Cars and JL Racing, located in Springtown, Texas, are now offering top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art Southern Sport mods and limited modifieds. Generation Race Cars and JL Racing can provide new cars, turnkey, complete bodies, shock revalving, and chassis updates, along with providing trackside setup guidance and a whole lot more. If you're looking at competing at a whole new level, call 817-528-2947 and ask for Justin today. You can contact them through the JL Racing Facebook page to learn more about Generation Race Cars. You put a ton of effort into your race program. Now take it to victory lane with GRC.
Hey friends, Rodney Rodriguez for your neighborhood auto repair and service shop in Cedar Park in Central Texas. It's Computer Age Automotive. Does not matter, domestic, foreign, hybrid, whatever it is, your auto repair and service. Mr. Gilbert Simmental and his great staff there at Computer Age Automotive, they will be the answer to whatever your problem may be. They've been doing it for 35 years, so that tells you something right there. Check engine light diagnostic, computer reprogramming, computer flashing, computer calibration. Doesn't matter, even the diagnostic stuff. Body control systems, engine control systems, power and battery systems. They have the answer for you. ASE certified mechanics. You drive a diesel, they can take care of that for you as well. It's Computer Age Automotive, the Simmentals. great folks. Hey, they're racing folks, so you know that they can get stuff done. Been doing it for 35 years and still going strong in good old Cedar Park, Texas. It's ComputerAgeAutomotive.com. Tell me you heard about it right here on the Revved Up Sports Show and Revved Up ATX.
And we go a little something like this. Hit it.
Have you heard about the latest and greatest technology being built around the DFW area? Generation Race Cars and JL Racing, located in Springtown, Texas, are now offering top-of-the-line, state-of-the-art Southern Sport mods and limited modifieds. Generation Race Cars and JL Racing can provide new cars, turnkey, complete bodies, shock revalving, and chassis updates, along with providing trackside setup guidance and a whole lot more. If you're looking at competing at a whole new level, call 817-528-2947 and ask for Justin today. You can contact them through the JL Racing Facebook page to learn more about Generation Race Cars. You put a ton of effort into your race program. Now take it to victory lane with GRC.
Hashtag Real Race Talk back after a great Monday. Chris David from Race On Texas checking in, and then Matt Kemp. And where I was going with that, Bobby, is, you know, we talk to so many young racers all the time, and you have to have that focus. You have to have the focus. You can't get caught up in the negative or the positive, and you can't think that you're too good to do anything. And that's a great example right there with what Matt was talking about. You got the goal, go get the damn thing. And that, man, that is super cool. I love that story. We're going to podcast the hell out of that thing.
I mean, I think that's what you have to do. Not just with racing, just with life in general, right? I mean, that's what he decided that he wanted to do. The timing between, you know, the death of his father, why that was a horrible situation to go through. The timing may have actually turned out just right to make him get his goal that he needed. And sometimes that's the irony of life, is that it's not timing how you want it to go. It's timing how life ends up happening. So what is the old saying? Life is just a series of unfortunately timed events that you do. You know, that's how you deal with the timed events. It's depending on how your life turns out. So definitely a good inspirational story for all those out there that are looking to continue to chase that dream. We know there's lots of people that say we're too far out of North Carolina. You can't make it. You can't make it work. Yeah, you can. You just got to dig your heels in and try to go after it.
Yeah, you got to want to do it. You got to want to do it. I love that story. Quickly, let's talk about one of the things that Chris talked about. I'm so glad for the folks at I-37 with the Hercules 30, Justin Whitehead, Jared Maupin, Dalton Faulkner, Johnny Torres. Just a great, the modified race was really good, and mopping up the wins is Jared Maupin. I love that. That's a Rick Pilero. I stole that from him. But good stuff right there. But 37 guys, you did a good job on Saturday, but you didn't do so good on Sunday. Watch that socials. Watch that socials, guys. You're shooting yourself in the foot with some of that stuff. And that's bottom line. That's just for me watching everything. You don't shoot your foot on social media.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate, because there was a lot of good positive vibes about I-37 all throughout social media there on Saturday.
Yep.
With the number of people that were talking about going to the racetrack, you could tell from the fans that we knew, the people that weren't racing. Obviously, we're friends with a lot of fans out there. There was a ton of people that were going down there. The stands looked packed. Everybody seemed to have a great time. Although I thought the racing itself ran a little long, but when you run a bigger show like that, you run into that kind of issue when you have that many cars. So that may be part of it. But yeah, that Sunday stuff was unfortunate. But you know, Saturday night was pretty damn good though. So.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, and that's where with the racetrack, and I mean, I think most of these racetracks do a really good job to where they hone somebody in that's going to monitor all that. But and again, I am not casting shade at 37, because I know we were mentioned in some of that stuff. I mean, because we talked to one of the folks that was a part of that, but. I mean, get somebody in there to monitor that stuff and squash it. And by all means, I mean, don't call people out if you're a part of the racetrack. And again, I would love to have the folks from 37 on here and just talk about the product, because I really think that what we saw on Saturday night was a good way for them to move forward, because that was a good event. Yeah, it did run long, but I think they're in a really good place. And again, I'm not trying to start any shit with anybody, but you got to nip that in the bud, because that's the stuff that gets you in trouble, and that's the stuff that a prospective sponsor. Let's say that so-and-so from ABC Rental Cars went to the racetrack and they're like, oh my God, I love this. I'm going to check in on social media. And they see all the highlights and they see everything that happened on Saturday night. Then they see that on Sunday and they're like, no, we good.
Yeah, what is it saying? Somebody's always watching.
Absolutely. You are always on display, especially with this social media driven society that we live in right now. You are always on a banner. You are always on a banner, and work on that, guys, because hopefully folks are going to find the positivity and forget about all that. I'd pull all that shit down if I were an admin on that. And it happens at all the tracks. And I mean, it's the same thing that we talk about. It's happened on our forums before, to where something is posted and we discuss something and it goes totally south, and it's like, okay, take that down. Take that down. And that's something for them to work on. It's growing pains. But moving forward, let's take a look at what we have. And again, Cotton Bowl had a good weekend as well. It looked like a good night there for them. Got a good show in. Moving forward, you'll be at Texana, I believe. This week.
Tentatively, I will be there. I had a good conversation with Owen, text message this morning with Owen, so I should be there. All things, if everything lines up like it should.
That's right. And Gulf Coast Racing Series back in business at Mobile International Speedway coming up on Saturday. That'll be a full program as well. But like we said, don't forget this week, because some of those streaming providers that we were talking about, obviously with Chris David, with the local roots that we have, with Race on Texas, we partner up with them and do stuff. Support them, support Racing America, support everybody. But you've got some really good shows with the Money in the Bank for the SRL show coming up at Berlin, and then with the $1 million race at Eldora. Gotta say, man, I'm a pavement guy converted into a dirt track guy, but I'm really looking forward to the damn dirt track race this weekend. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, lots of good alternatives if you can't get out in the heat or don't want to get out in the heat, don't want to travel. Lots of good ways to consume the race of your choice.
That's right. And once again, take a look at this. When we talk about streaming, and again, thanks to Aaron Brungott that sent this over, because I could never build anything like this. It would not look this well. But there's everything. There is your future. I mean that's streaming right there. Look at the page likes, and it's a big business. It's a big business, and they all continue to do well. They all continue to produce a great product, and they all allow us and afford us the opportunity to be able to check out stuff that we wouldn't be able to see if it weren't for that. So again, lay off of the race-ons and lay off of all these people. If there's going to be a hiccup, hell, this show's failed many times, and it's like, what the hell's going on? There's a lot to this. Even
the FM show had some technical difficulties there at COTA. So
absolutely. So just check this stuff out. Get to a local racetrack and just enjoy it, because we are into the meat of the season. It's time to go racing. It is really and truly race time right now.
And if anybody doesn't think that streaming doesn't matter, there's a reason why there's 3 players to try to get the US F1 rights in them. You've got ESPN still trying to keep it. You got NBC trying to get it back. And then you got old Netflix over there that says, hell, Drive to Survive's been so good, we might want to add the live races to our network.
And then there's the old Amazon. They're in the NFL game now, so they may.
Amazon's going to bid on NASCAR. I see that. I see NASCAR getting some type of property over there onto Amazon.
Absolutely. They'd be stupid not to entertain that. So good stuff. Thanks, Chris David. Thanks, Matt Kemp. Great conversations tonight, guys. Get yourself to a local short track. Bobby, be well, my man. Hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get everything shaken out. We'll both be in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, it's like these situations where I'm like, I'm going to call and check on my buddy. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. Thank you all for being a part of this. Share the hell out of it. RevvedUpSportsShow.com. We podcast everything. Bobby, great week, brother.
Yeah, it's only Monday, but we got a little bit of ways to go till we get to the weekend. But
that's right.
We'll have at it. Dig in and have at it.
Yep, that's right. We're back next Monday. It is #Real Race Talk from Texas. You guys be well.